Some people are born with soft hearts. They cannot ignore pain, they cannot watch someone struggle, and they cannot sleep peacefully knowing another person is suffering. They help, even when it hurts them. But what if I told you that being too kind can slowly destroy your life? What if the people you save today become the same people who abandon you tomorrow? This is not just a story. It is the reality of many people who always say, "Let me help you." Stay with me until the end, because the ending of this story carries a lesson that may save your future. His name was Hassan. He was not rich, not famous, and not powerful, but he had something that made everyone in his town respect him, a heart too big for his own life. Hassan lived in a small town in a simple house with his wife Ayan and their 2 children. He owned a small shop, and even though the shop was not big, it was enough to support his family. Hassan worked hard every day, waking up early and staying late. But people did not only come to his shop to buy goods. They came because Hassan had become known as the man who never said no. Every day, someone had a problem. One person needed rent money, another needed school fees, another needed medicine for a sick child. Some begged, others acted innocent, and some even used emotional stories to gain sympathy. Hassan always listened with a soft heart and replied with the same words, "Don't worry, take it." Over time, Hassan became famous in the town, not because he was successful, but because he was useful. People praised him loudly and called him a hero, but deep inside, most of them did not respect him for who he was. They respected him for what they could get from him. His wife Ayan tried to warn him many times. She would look at him with tired eyes and say, "Hassan, you are a good man, but you are forgetting your own family." Hassan always smiled and answered, "Allah loves those who help others." But Ayan knew something Hassan refused to accept. Helping others is good, but destroying yourself is not charity. She watched as Hassan's kindness slowly started becoming a burden that their family could not carry. One day, Hassan's son came to him and said, "Father, the school needs fees. The teacher said I cannot attend if we don't pay." Hassan checked his pocket, but there was nothing. He checked his drawer, but it was empty. He checked the place where he kept savings, and it was gone. Hassan remembered all the money he had given away in the last few weeks. With pain in his heart, he looked at his son and said, "Tomorrow, my son, inshallah." His son nodded politely, but his eyes were filled with disappointment. That night, Ayan cried silently, not because they were poor, but because her husband was feeding everyone except his own children. A few weeks later, Hassan's closest friend Abdi came running into the shop looking terrified. He said, "Hassan, please save me. I am in serious trouble." Hassan immediately asked what happened, and Abdi explained that he had borrowed money from dangerous people who were threatening him. Hassan panicked. Without thinking, he went into his private drawer and took out his emergency savings, money he had been keeping for his children's future. He handed it all to Abdi. Abdi hugged him and said, "Wallahi, you are my true brother. I will return it next month." Hassan felt proud, like a hero, not knowing that this moment would become the beginning of his downfall. A month passed, and Abdi could not return anything. Hassan waited patiently. 2 months passed, still nothing. When Hassan finally reminded him, Abdi became angry and said, "Are you accusing me? You think I'm a thief?" Hassan felt ashamed, even though he was the victim. He apologized. That was the painful reality of people who are too kind. They start blaming themselves even when they are the ones being wronged. Abdi walked away with Hassan's money, and Hassan remained with his broken trust. After that, the situation became worse. More people started coming, not even asking politely anymore. Some demanded help as if it was their right. Hassan began borrowing money from suppliers and taking goods on credit. He delayed rent payments and sometimes borrowed money from others just to give it away again. His shop started weakening slowly, and his family started suffering more. But the town did not care. They only cared that Hassan still said yes. Because when you always help people, they stop seeing your limits. They treat your generosity like it will never end. One night, Hassan sat with Hassan quietly and asked him a question that shook his soul. She said, "Hassan, if you die today, who will help me and my children?" Hassan could not answer. Ayan continued, "You help everyone, but I have never seen anyone help you." Hassan tried to defend himself by saying, "People love me, they will help us." Ayan shook her head and said, "They don't love you, Hassan. They love what you give them." That sentence entered Hassan's heart like a knife, but he still refused to accept it because sometimes truth is too painful for a kind person to accept. Soon after, Hassan's supplier came to his shop and told him, "Hassan, you owe me too much. If you don't pay by this week, I will stop giving you goods." Hassan's heart dropped. He realized that if his supplier stopped, his shop would close and his children would have nothing. That evening, Hassan walked around town asking for help. He went first to Abdi, the same friend he had saved. Abdi was sitting comfortably drinking tea, holding a new phone and wearing an expensive watch. Hassan politely asked him to return some money. Abdi laughed and said, "Hassan, I am also struggling." Hassan could not believe his ears. He looked at Abdi's lifestyle, but still heard him say he had nothing. Hassan left quietly, and for the first time in his life, he tasted the bitterness of betrayal. Hassan then visited other people he had helped before. Some avoided him, some pretended they were not home, some acted as if they didn't see him. One cousin even told him, "Hassan, you are a man, handle your problems." Those words destroyed him. Hassan had handled everyone's problems for years, yet when he needed support, nobody cared. That day, Hassan understood a painful truth. When you help people too much, they stop respecting you. Dependence kills respect, and people who depend on you often become angry when you need something in return. That night, Hassan sat alone in his shop. The shelves were half empty, the floor was dusty, and the shop that once felt alive now felt like a grave. He whispered to himself, "Where are they now?" He remembered every sacrifice he made, every time he ignored his family's needs, and every time he thought he was doing something noble. Now he was alone. Hassan cried quietly, not like a child, but like a man whose heart has been broken by reality. While sitting there, Hassan remembered his childhood. His father had been strict and rarely praised him. His father only smiled when Hassan did something useful. That's when Hassan learned a dangerous lesson. To be loved, you must serve. To be accepted, you must sacrifice. To be valued, you must always give. That childhood wound grew inside him and followed him into adulthood, turning him into someone who believed love must be earned through endless helping. The next day, his daughter said something that changed everything. She asked him, "Father, why do you always help others more than us?" Hassan felt pain in his chest. His daughter continued, "People laugh when they leave our house, but I see Mother crying at night." Hassan was speechless. Children do not lie. They speak the truth without fear. That moment forced Hassan to finally accept what he had been refusing to see. He promised himself that he would change, even though change is not easy when kindness has become a habit. A few days later, an emergency happened in town. A man's house burned down and everyone gathered with sadness. People started saying, "Hassan will help. Hassan always helps." Someone ran to Hassan and asked him to contribute money. Hassan's heart wanted to say yes automatically, but his mind remembered betrayal, his children, and his wife's tears. He looked at his pocket, and the little money he had was all that remained for his family. For the first time in Hassan's life, he said, "I'm sorry, I cannot." People were shocked. They stared at him like he had committed a crime. Whispers spread quickly. Some said Hassan had become greedy. Others said he was no longer a good man.
Hassan felt pressure, but he stood firm. That moment became the beginning of his freedom. After that, the town turned against him. People stopped greeting him, some stopped buying from his shop. Gossip spread everywhere. They said, he used to help, now he refuses. The saddest part was that Hassan was not rich. He was still struggling, but now he was being treated like a villain. That's the cost of always helping people. When you stop, people act like you betrayed them because you trained them to expect your sacrifice forever. But in the middle of the storm, Ayan held Hassan's hand and said, "Let them talk. I would rather live with a husband who protects his family than a hero who dies for strangers." Hassan looked at her and realized something important. His wife never needed him to be a hero. She needed him to be responsible, present, and strong. Hassan slowly started rebuilding his life. He reduced giving blindly. He paid his debts step by step, and he began saving again. As he grew stronger, something surprising happened. The fake friends disappeared, but real people started showing respect. An elderly man came to Hassan and said, "I heard what people are saying. Do not worry, I respect you." Another man said, "You were generous, but now you are wise." Hassan realized that when you stop pleasing everyone, you lose fake friends but gain real respect. True people do not love you for your money, they love you for your character, and those people are rare. Hassan finally understood that the real cost of always helping others is not just money. The real cost is your peace, your mental health, your family's happiness, your future, your self-respect, and your emotional stability. When you always help, you start feeling responsible for everyone's life. You become an emotional servant. You forget that your life matters too. Hassan learned a powerful truth. Helping is good, but sacrificing yourself for ungrateful people is self-destruction. Some people do not need help, they need boundaries. One day, Hassan stood outside his shop and looked at the road where people used to come begging. He smiled, not with pride, but with peace. He said quietly, "I used to think saying yes made me a good person, but now I understand that sometimes saying no is the greatest act of wisdom. Because when you help everyone, you might lose yourself, and if you lose yourself, who will save you?" So the lesson of this story is clear. Help people, but never forget your own life. Give, but never give until you become empty. Be kind, but never allow your kindness to become your prison. Because the world does not always reward good hearts. It uses them until they break. And when they break, the same people who use them will move on and find another victim. If this story touched your heart, it means you are also a person who gives too much, and maybe you needed this message today. If you want more emotional, moral stories that can change your mindset and strengthen your heart, subscribe, like this video, and share it with someone who always sacrifices themselves for others. Until next time, stay strong, stay wise, and protect your peace.